Hey everyone, happy Monday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So I'll come back to that. Let's talk about what Rafa did first. So the regulars around the channel know this bus here by the name the Devil Bus, and we got its motor back from it, which is a very long story. Some of you know the story. And anyway, the motor is now back in it. Rafa went ahead and did that first thing this morning. We need to dig this bus out of the corner, dig figuratively speaking. So we'll probably do that tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. I don't know. I think we're just not in any hurry to do anything with that bus. It's like, okay, the motor's back in it. Let's let's take a break from it now for a day or two. And then, you know, we got to move some stuff around, obviously, to get it out of that corner. And then I just need to drive it. I think we still need to put the front pedal cover up underneath the front. But other than that, it should just be a matter of driving it and making sure it's tip top. And then tell the owner, come get it. Don't bring it back. So that's how Mr. Rafa started his day. Good, I guess, to get that out of the way while he was fresh. Then he turned his attention to this beauty, the very bitchin' and getting bitchin'-er, if that's even a word by the day, 54 right-hand drive combi Barndoor bus. Mouthful for you there. So he worked a bit up front here. So he went ahead and disconnected all the wiring and stuff, pulled the gauges out and everything. And in fact, he pulled out the whole pod, and then we polished it up, got it looking better, and then reinstalled it with correct looking beading. It had some not correct looking stuff in there before. It wasn't even beading. It was just more like a kind of U-shaped rubber strip around there. Anyway, so we like those kind of details. We like things to look right, and that looks right. So there you go. Anyway, so yeah, we got to restore all the gauge pod itself and everything, and all the switches. Some of the switches seem like they've got some issues, so we'll do our best to repair those or replace them if needed. But yeah, a lot of attention going on up here, getting ready to start rewiring this puppy. So the other thing is, if I can get around here, the nose emblem went back on today. So it is now the correct color of white. Before it was just like this bright white, kind of like the wheels still are. So we painted it the correct color of white and did a bunch of body work and stuff on it. And the funny thing is we noticed was, and you probably can't see the seam in the body. I guess you can see it there. So this symbol is centered now, but before, well, when the bus came in, it was off to, I think this side by like, it was a lot. It was like an inch, maybe a little more. So also the emblem had like threaded studs on it, like pieces of all thread or something. I don't know what somebody put on there, but it was pretty ugly. And again, not something that ever shows, but we like to make details right, even if no one will ever see them again. So Rafa actually brazed new studs on there that look much more correct. And then he was able to kind of offset them a little bit because the holes in the body are actually off a little bit. So he sort of offset the stud location on the badge itself here to make sure this thing is centered. So looking much better, especially now that it's the correct color of white. So that's that. The other thing Rafa did today was started putting some Dynamat back here on the engine compartment, firewall, top and bottom. Well, he just started on the top. We're going to do the front of it here too, and then we're going to put panels over those to cover those two areas, just to make it more quiet. That's the whole point of the Dynamat, because this thing is like a massive drum. And so we're just trying to deaden the sound here from this, because again, we are putting back seats in it, which it didn't previously have, and we're wanting to make it bearable to drive in, where it's not like driving around inside of a giant drum. So yeah, we're going to do our best to kind of deaden this area back here at least. And we had the woodworking shop across from us make some panels. And then we had one of the upholstery guys next door actually paint these. We had paint mixed up. So yeah, those are going to go on the on this wall and that wall of the engine firewall. And then of course the back seat covers most of this one. And then this one, it's like way back there, and you probably won't even notice it. It's going to have this flat panel over it. But long story short, it should make the car a lot more pleasant to ride in, because a lot of the engine noise and stuff won't be being transmitted through this giant, again, like drum basically that's the back of this thing. So that was pretty much Rafa's day. So my day, again, focused on the 11G here, the 52 split window, 3-fold ragtop. Started at the back of the car and worked my way forward. So I had previously pulled engine and transmission out. However, still in the back of the car was the oil cooler, which was mounted up under there, and then the oil filter, which was mounted on the rear bumper bracket up underneath the fender on the left of the car there. So dismounted all that stuff, and then got rid of all the excess wiring in the back. There were wires going every which way on this car for running the fan and to gauges and like all this extra stuff that a stock 52 Volkswagen won't have. So pretty much started in on removing extra wires that we won't be using, and got it all stripped back to just the wires that we'll be using here. They're kind of gross looking because they were covered in this black like cloth electrical tape. So we'll clean those up and stuff, and then probably try and find some similar material to wrap them in that'll look original. And so that's the back of the car. The front of the car, the big thing is that I pulled the front beam out, which by the way is for sale. So if anyone's looking for a link pin 4-inch narrowed beam from Old Speed and some bitchin' Old Speed Willwood brakes with Porsche pattern, then we got one here. Steering box is not included, but the shortened tie rods are, and then pretty much everything you see here, and then also the stainless steel braided lines that go to the body, basically, or not to the body, but to here. So these lines on both sides, there and there, and then pretty much what you see here minus the steering box and pitman arm. Oh, and then plus the tie rods, which are right there. So yeah, if anyone's interested, shoot me a message. I think there's someone already interested in this. I'm not sure. If there is, they've got first dibs because they already reached out. But anyway, so that's out. Now, this big pile of wires that you see here is what I started stripping out from the front of this car. This car had a lot of extra wires in it. At some point, it had some like big ass stereo system in it, which is long gone. And then, of course, all these gauges that you see there. So tach, oil pressure, and oil temperature gauges. So there were a bunch of wires for that. And then at some point, somebody had apparently fog lights on here. So there was a bunch of extra wires run down to the front of the car for fog lights. And I don't know what other kind of accessories or whatever were on the scene, but there was just a crap ton of wires in here. There's still some excess wires in here, but I'm kind of slowly going through figuring out what's, what we're keeping and what we're getting rid of, instead of just like mindlessly hacking stuff up or hacking stuff away. But yeah, it's already looking better. Believe it or not, this is the sort of improved version, because there were just so many wires, and there were wires that had been like cut and just left like with cut wire ends. It was kind of gross. So yeah, once we get this all, eliminate the rest of the extra stuff, and then, like for example, they had these adjustable resistors in here. They had one for the windshield wiper, and then they had one here for the semaphore. So we'll get rid of those, of course, and then keep the wires, whatever is left, to to correctly like stock operate the car and get rid of everything else, clean it up, make it look amazing. And yeah, so lots of time spent on this. And whoever wired this car, they wrapped everything in this cloth, like electrical tape, which looks pretty nice. But they had all these extra wires were all wrapped up like this. So I'm having to go and like unwrap all this stuff to trace out all these extra wires and then, figure out where they go and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not just like chopping stuff off. I'm like unwrapping everything, uncovering it, figuring out what it runs to, and then like, okay, fog lights. All right, we're not using that, and then remove it. And just kind of going through the process like that. So most everything that's here is actually stuff that's going to be used. I've got rid of probably like 90% of the extra junk that we're not using. So getting there. What else? The electric fuel pump, which is mounted right there, came out, and its respective wiring. It's laying around here somewhere. There it is right there. So yeah, that was pretty much my day. So the car is actually getting pretty close to having all of the aftermarket stuff stripped out. I think other than a little bit more wiring to remove here, it's going to be completely devoid of aftermarket or extra stuff. And then at that point, pretty much start cleaning it up. There's probably there's a bunch of areas like this that need paint touch up here and there. There's some extra holes where they had things like what do you call it? Breather boxes and stuff mounted that we may weld those closed, because on a little tiny 25 horsepower motor, a lot of this stuff shows. And so remember too, these old cars, there's no mat, there's no soundboard covering all this stuff. So all these areas like here and here with this little tiny motor, those actually show. So I need to talk to the owner, but probably we need to go ahead and fill those. And then, like I said, a bunch of areas we need to touch up the paint. We need this engine compartment to look amazing, because unlike with a huge motor in here with big dual carbs, you actually see quite a bit of the engine compartment with the stock motor in here. The sides and stuff like that, it all kind of shows. So we need to make it look great. And then little details. Apparently these shelves here were replaced at some point, and they have the little tabs on them, which would be great for a later car. But again, split windows don't use the sound mats here, so these little tabs are not supposed to be there. So we'll maybe see about removing those. All those little details, get them right. So I believe that is it, guys, for today. So appreciate you watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.